Who, why, and how. In this video, I'll talk about asylum interview preparation. Master your interview. Bijoux Ngwanda here, immigration lawyer in the DC metropolitan area. If you're new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you for subscribing, and please don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. If you enjoy the content, go ahead and please like, share, and don't forget to comment below. Let's get right into it. The art of mastering your interviews. In this video, again, I said that I will be talking about asylum and basically how does the interview works and how to actually prepare for the interview. And at the end, I'll give you an idea so that you can have like a mark when you go to your interview. You're so well prepared that you know how to answer those three questions: who, why, and how. So let's start with the first point. The first point basically is to, before going to the interview, you have to be able to understand the purpose behind the interview. When it comes to asylum, there's only one purpose, the main purpose. The purpose behind the interview is to find out whether your story is true or not, whether you as a person has credibility, and whether they can give credibility to the story, and whether this evidence that you have submitted or are going to submit on the day of the interview has some type of credibility. That's it. That's the purpose behind the this entire interview. So having said that, you pretty much know that, well, how are they going to question me in order to find out the truthfulness of my story? So once you know that, you pretty much know how you are going to practice when it comes to what you are telling. Because remember that asylum, as we have said that before, asylum is simply a claim of fear of persecution, well-founded fear of persecution, okay? Either from your country of origin or the country of your last residency. So, and you're claiming that you cannot go back because you fear persecution, whether persecution was in the past, whether persecution is now in the present, or whether persecution is foreseeable in the future. So because you're claiming that you are so afraid that you cannot go back, and you are begging the American government really to grant you asylum. And another thing to keep in mind is that asylum is a favor based on conventions, based on the immigration law here in the US. It's not something that they have to give it to you. It's something that they may give it to you, provided that the story has some type of credibility and true to it. Okay, that's it. That's the basics when it comes to preparing overall for the asylum interview. And when you go to the interview, what's going to happen, this is the second point that I'm trying to make. What's going to happen is that you're going to go to the interview. If let's say that you have counsel present, you're going to go with your lawyer in the interview. And the way it works, basically, you sit there, and then there's another chair there for your counsel if counsel is present. And then there is a table between you and the officer, and the officer is sitting behind the computer, and the officer is trying to actually record in writing everything that you will be saying there. Whether you have evidence, that additional evidence that you brought in, the officer is going to take those evidence and look at those evidence just to authenticate basically their validity, and then scan them and then really submit it along with your file. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that when you're talking to the officer, so don't get into trying to go off subject, first of all, like trying to talk about some other unrelated subject. It's not going to give you some points trying to be friends with the officer. That's not the goal of the interview. The interview is very simple. The goal for the officer is to find out whether what you are telling them is true or not, whether there is some type of credibility on your story, or whether you are credible as a person. So that's how they find out, based on the questions that they will ask you. And the second sub point within that second point is that it is important to have counsel present, because counsel will be there to pretty much make sure that the officer doesn't step out of the boundaries of the interview, because some officer will be asking several questions, too many times the same question, and that's why the lawyer will be there to pretty much put the officer on his place and say, no, listen, you have asked this client, my client, this question before. A client is trying to be as cooperative as the client can, but the more you ask the same question, you are frustrating the purpose of this interview, and then the officer will step back. So that's the reason we really strongly advise, if you can afford one, to actually have counsel present on the day of the interview. It really helps to support you emotionally as well. Another thing is that the reason that you have to have counsel is that counsel plays a very important role outside of the interview when you're filing your asylum case, because counsel will actually advise you and prepare you for this interview, because we go with the adjudicator manual. We know the way officers ask questions because we've been to those interviews before, and they go by the book. Really, they have certain questions that they must ask, and when you have counsel, they will advise you. If you are still looking for one, phone number is 202-751-2180. Email on display. Again, consultation fees apply. And if you just want to do the preparation and you've already filed your case before, then we will go with a different type of arrangement. We do two sessions, two preparation sessions only, one prior to the interview, a couple days prior, and then the second one perhaps 2 days before the interview. And we will go with you. If you request our physical presence there, then we will go with you as well, provided that you're in the same vicinity. But if you want to pay for us to travel and to be with you, again, that's another possibility. Okay, so having said that, we know the purpose of the interview, to find out truthfulness and credibility, and that's number one. Number two, why you have to have counsel present, it's because it's going to help you, and counsel is really going to manage the entire interview process for you. Okay, and then prepare you better to answer those questions as well. And the last point, that now we are trying to answer those questions: who, why, and how. Those are the main questions that will sum up this entire interview process. Who is trying to persecute you back home? Because you're claiming persecution, right? Who is that person? Is it government? Is it a group of individuals working with government, or individuals that the government cannot control? You have to be able to answer that question with exactitude. So basically with some certainty that you know this is the group of the people, or this is the individual, or this is the government that is going to persecute me. If let's say that you claim persecution in the future, but let's say that you claim persecution in the present, you can actually say that this type of group have been, as we speak, they are persecuting similarly situated people in the same position as me, because now you're here, right? You're claiming persecution like a present type of persecution. And let's say you were claiming persecution in the past, then you will cite them and say, they have persecuted me in the past by doing this thing, and this thing. You have to be so clear. You have to know who so well that you will not hesitate when the officer asks you that question. Okay, And then we go to number 2, why. That goes really with the application. Remember when we filed that form I-589, we actually point out the type of persecution that somebody will claim under asylum law. Either it's religion, either it's ethnicity, race, belonging to a political party, or political affiliation, or some type of social group, etc., etc. So basically, you have to know why. Why are they trying to persecute you? This question will come with an answer such as, well, they're trying to persecute me because I'm a member of a political party by the name of so and so. Or they're trying to persecute me because I am a part of this particular social group. So you have to know why they're trying to persecute you. And basically, if you go to your entire application, you will come up with the reason why. Okay? And then the last question is how? How do you know that they are for certain going to persecute you? Because when we claim asylum, we have some type of exactitude, certainty. We're not speculating on some type of a fantasy of persecution. We have to have something concrete, something sustainable, really. How do you know that they're going to persecute you? In this case, let's say you're claiming persecution based on past persecution, fear of persecution based on past event. At that point, it's simple, right? They've done it on this such and such date. Those people came to my house, they killed my mom, and I was the only victim left, so I ran away. That one, it's so clear, you know, right? Because it was in the past. Let's say it's present. How do you know? I heard it from the internet. I heard it from reliable sources. Similarly situated people like me are being persecuted as we speak. This is the evidence. You show your evidence, your newspaper, whatever evidence you have, you show it. That's how I know that if I go home, because I live in that area and I'm part of this social group, I am in fact going to be persecuted. Okay, that's when you claim persecution from present or future. It goes with the same argument. So those are the 3 main questions. And of course, you have to review your application, because some people sometimes really, they don't even read their own application. You have to be able to review your application, because remember, on that application, there's a section for you. Residency, work history, and if you're married, your spouse, if you have children, your children, you have siblings or parents, their names are there. So basically, you have to know your entire story, and whatever you put on your application, you have to be able to remember it. Okay, that's why you review your application in advance, so it becomes so familiar to you, to the point where the officer asks you a question, you know how to answer it. Okay, this is how you master your interview, my friend. If you need more information and you need help with mastering your interview, my friend, all you need to do is call my office, 202-751-2180. Fees apply. Just be advised, fees apply. As usual, what's gonna happen if you call, I am going to text you back so that you can provide me with your full name, email address, and we will go from there. And if you want to email me directly, it's even better. Just please email with your full name and phone number, so that we can talk to you about prices as far as preparation, or just consultation, or just the entire application. Why not? So that's it for today. This is Saturday, and I was going to do, as I said, I was going to do this video about mastering asylum. There's more to it. This is just to give you an idea, like you have a background, clear idea as to what is the purpose of the interview. When you know that, what are the main questions when you know that, and how can you prepare so you be ready for that interview and you master it and you get your asylum granted, because that's what we're here for, to get you your asylum granted, as of course, if we can. So Bijoux Ngwanda here, immigration lawyer in the DC metropolitan area. This was US Immigration. Until next time, bye-bye.